Thank you so much, Hatixhe, for coming. I really appreciate you. And I really appreciate what you do for the community. And I have known you for quite some time now. And you are one of the few people that I really admire. And I love what you do. And everybody, this is Hatixhe. Um, as you heard on my introduction earlier. And one of the reasons before I jump in is that you are an inspiration to me. You've heard it many times, but I never get tired of saying it. And I'm sure for others as well, because of your accomplishment. And just to mention a little bit, you came to the USA from Kosovo as a refugee with your husband, who I had the pleasure of meeting. And with your little kids, they're not little anymore, but they were on your lap when you came, and you had to start from scratch, raise a family, and then figure out the US system. And I can't even imagine what the experience was like for you and your family as a refugee. And despite that, you know, it has been a long journey for, a career journey for you. You were already trained in law in Kosovo, I believe, graduated from law school there. And then when you came here, however, you had to start from scratch. That's how it is for all of us, right? And then you have worked in different areas like mental health, domestic violence, mediation, social security, and refugee. Oh my God, a lot. And you were the architect for the Santa Clara County Refugee and Immigrant Forum to be accepted and participate at the White House. I remember that picture that you have from the White House and convening pathway for skilled refugees and immigrants. You have always been an advocate. It was not always about you. You have worked as an intern. Imagine, right? And then volunteer, case manager, resource coordinator, project director, mental health counselor, claimants representative for Social Security, Supplement Security, and now you are an attorney licensed in California. What a journey, Hatixhe. And I really would like, and you opened your own law office, attorney professional corporation. And I would like to say congratulations. I know that was a long, long journey for you, and you had to stick, to your gun, and you had a goal aside from raising a family. I know how challenging that could be. Could you say a little bit about this journey and what are some of the things that helped you in never giving up? Let's start there.
Sure. Thank you. Wow. You introduced me better than I feel and than I think I am. But thank you so much for the opportunity and for being always very humble. I know you're a very accomplished lady and advocate as well. I only wish I met you when I came in this country in 1999. So then I wish your book was available then to learn about 7 tips that you have in your books, in the book. So then I can utilize the book there. And honestly, I wish at that time, I know it's not about your book, I don't want to blush you, but why I'm saying that is because I wish individuals like myself have a guide, if you will, or read books like yours. So then we feel it's not just Hatixhe alone. We feel it's Hatixhe, Senite, and other people, because what makes this journey honestly harder is you feel you are alone. Right. You feel you always chase the sense of belonging. For example, people like myself, I was thinking as I was driving in office today and Saturday, I'm very grateful for your time, and I'm definitely grateful for the invitation and all what you do tonight. Is I was, listening to one of your speeches last night and others, how engaging these, this presentations are, this communication. That's what I feel honored to be in your platform here. So thank you for all you do. Now, why, of course, why I feel, it's important very briefly to highlight the journey is because that's helped me to decide what I want to do with my practice, why I want to be an attorney helping marginalized community. And they help me as well, because I feel I'm student all of my life, pretty much. We learn every day. Now, speaking about my journey, I bet so many people in the United States and around the world have their own unique journey, but why I feel happy to share in a nutshell, it's so I can highlight that people go through, in fact, they come in this country. I'm speaking about United States. Yes, I'm from Kosovo and I'm Albanian. So people come with their own baggage before even coming here. For example, I was thinking, driving here, today in office, in fact, the sense of belongings for me started even before becoming a refugee. This is not to speak bad about my community. Of course, I love Albanians, I love every community, but I hope this can shed a light in addition to disability benefits that there is not about this nation is good, this nation is bad. Even within one nation, within one community, there is so much. I hate the term discriminated when it's overused, but for example, sense of belonging. And it unintentionally happens. For example, I was 8 years old when my dad, he was highly educated, had to move in different city. And then my mom was from the village, but my dad was very educated. But we moved from less popular city to more popular city. So from 8 years old, frankly, I felt I don't belong there because I was not bullied per se, but I was not very engaged. Unintentionally, always I used to sit in the back of the classroom and I was the shortest one. I had to stand up and even see what teachers are doing. So in fact, my refugee sense began even becoming here. This is not to feel bad about me, but to highlight the portion, because sometimes when some refugees and immigrants come in this country, they have a feeling that, oh, that nation is bad, another nation is bad. No one is bad per se. It's a matter of education to teach each other that even within one community, unintentionally, we don't make people feel belong to us, belong to each other. Then moving forward, obviously coming in this country as a refugee was not by choice. The war happened back home, and then I had to come here. So the experience of the war by itself is definitely very difficult. Then, of course, that can be another discussion another time. So we moved to the topic, but coming here didn't make it easier at all, as much as I'm grateful that my brother, Dino, sponsored me in this country. And I came here and very grateful to the United States, certainly. And I was educated. I was graduated in law back home during that time. When I came here, I was very young, 27 years old. But just by coming here, the honeymoon of 24 hours ends, quote unquote, you have to survive, you have to live, especially in Silicon Valley, it's very expensive. So it was a very long journey by itself. So then, of course, studying law in a third language, working 2 jobs, having 2 minor kids, not affording to pay for tuition, not speaking language and translating the lectures every night. Honestly, I don't even know how I did it, to be honest, but it's just a matter of passion and matter of people believing in me and being tried and not giving up. So it was a very long journey.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate that. And I know your daughter also works at Stanford and your children are really successful. And it's a long journey. I'm sure it wasn't easy, but you're here. So thank you for sharing your journey with us and then your wise words about the belonging and all that. To be honest, I also felt like I was the shortest in my classroom. So anyway, so why don't you tell our audience about what you do?
Sure. So what I do is I do definitely other, kind of I'm an advocate for community. That's beside the point. But my primary role is I'm an attorney licensed to practice in California, state of California, with the state bar. I was trained in law back home in Kosovo, and I'm also trained in California in mental health. But when I say it's mental health, is paraprofessional. Basically, my title before was a mental health rehab specialist. That is not a therapist, it's not licensed social worker, but that was a field in behavioral health. Why I take pride in speaking about that as well, because I see a big overlap between law and mental health. In fact, I almost, my rule of thumb in my practice here is this going to help my clients' mental well-being or not? That's what I feel, that's my passion pretty much. And of course, I chair different forums. I am an advocate in different areas, of course, of, in the community. My main focus is Social Security disability benefits. And then I do expand very minor portion that if I see I can help the community, or if that overlaps with Social Security disability benefits, or if my cultural competence can help that particular case, then I do associate with some attorneys if again that helps the clients in a unique way. But that's a big picture what I do. In addition, actually, I also train the providers like health providers and other doctors. I do provide free training and presentation on educating them on overview of Social Security disability benefits, because sometimes there is a myth. They confuse not intentionally, of course, it's not doctor's job to study disabilities, like it's not my job to study, how they diagnose people, but I see sometimes some things are unintentionally overlooked for lack of training. So I do train them, the doctors and health providers, not just doctors, social worker, nurses, school boards and other places about the Social Security disability benefits, not just eligibility though, but I also do train about overlap, Senai, because what I feel in my opinion, it's lacking is I want people like myself to benefit about residual function capacity. For example, although I felt I don't belong immediately in this country, as much as I'm very grateful, and still, that goes back in my, safety net. Do I really belong here? Am I good enough? So by analogy, I want to use that with my clients and educating others, just not my clients, but medical providers and others, that sometimes the clients who apply for disability benefits, they may have residual function capacity, meaning something quote unquote left over that they can work potentially part-time. They can potentially still contribute to society. They can feel still good about themselves. So that's my goal, is not just to represent clients for disability benefits, but also hopefully to help their well-being and educate the community and be a liaison to some extent.
That is amazing, because usually when we talk about Social Security, people think, okay, I can't work, I can't do anything else, I'm disabled and that's it. And I'm guilty of feeling that way in the beginning. I thought, if somebody has a Social Security, cannot work, which is not true from what you're saying.
So if I just do, of course, being an attorney, I always, I do have, of course, ethical and legal obligation to try to clarify things within reason with the time permit that we have to speak today. So yeah, I'm not saying all clients can work and apply for disability benefits, because unfortunately, I do have some clients, God bless, them, they go through a lot. They are in a deathbed, for example, they are in severe diagnosis. So for them, they can barely drink water, for example. So I'm not saying this blanket rule applies to everyone, but I just feel I benefited from this country. I benefited from the mentality being victim to victorious. And I think that's how my clients, I hope this presentation is not only going to shed some light on disability benefits, which they can, of course, go to Social Security, www.ssa.gov for more information. I'm not representing Social Security at this point, but what I'm saying is there is always so much resources out there on those benefits. But also my goal today is just to simplify the process and give a big picture that people shouldn't just focus on just applying for benefits and stay home and waiting for it and make miserable. Those who can afford potentially to work or do more from it, they should take advantage of that and educate themselves about the rules and possibility to work and pay taxes and all of that.
That is so awesome and very helpful, because a lot of people, like I was saying earlier, that like when we think about Social Security, it's a vague idea for someone who doesn't work there. Even for me, like from outside, it's just this big place, Social Security. So could you clarify what Social Security is, and then we can take it from there, I guess.
Of course. So within the time frame that we have, pretty much Social Security, it's a Social Security Administration. It's a agency, it's a government agency. They do have different programs. And of course, individuals always can go to www.ssa.gov. Again, I'm not representing them in this show. I'm not working for them. I am an attorney. I have my own law practice. Just want to make sure people understand, who I am, so I don't unintentionally mislead them. But from my perspective, Social Security, at least what I do is they have different programs. By the way, sorry to digress, but potentially, if it's possible, we can always try to maybe have Social Security work and bring an overview here for your audience to explain their own perspective, the more programs that they have. But at this point of the conversation, I can just focus on disability programs that I represent and I'm familiar and I'm learning every day. So they do have at least the big picture is two sets of disability programs. One is called Supplemental Security Income, and another program is Social Security Disability Benefits. Now, before I mention that, can I share some slides with you if it's okay with you? Now, this is just a brief slide that explains that this is not a legal consultation, not presentation. It's just a conversation that I have. Of course, if they have questions, they can all contact me. I'll provide information in the end. Or I can just share the phone number now in case if someone is watching, this presentation, the phone number where they can get a hold of me, it's 408-453-3500. And the email address will be provided later on. They can also Google and look for my name. There is a website also as well available. But going back to your question is, I'll talk about, again, big picture is here on the left side. This is, by the way, the table I created for being here at 3 years in this country, working in mental health in different fields. I am not familiar with all of these programs, just for disclaimer here. But why I created this table is just to explain to that about a myth or a lack of knowledge that even providers have to some extent. Instead of educating maybe clients to apply for multiple benefits, they do just advise them to apply for one benefit and wait till that get exhausted, then try to apply for other benefits, which unfortunately doesn't help clients because they lose so many potential benefits. Now, I'll talk about the table later, but you asked me about the Social Security Administration. So here on the left column, I don't know if you can see this well. Oops. All right, let me go back. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I can see it.
On it, perfect. So there are about 4 programs, quote unquote. They can be more. Again, I'm not representing SSA, but at least my focus in on supplemental security income and Social Security disability insurance. I put early retirement on the left side and full retirement just to explain that sometimes they also overlap with Social Security and SSDI, which maybe next time, if the time allows, we can just focus on pieces. Of course, if community is interested or if this can help anyone. But I'll go back to explain more about nuances of the programs. For example, on the next column, when I put California in the top EDD, there is also misconception, clients or community or people who want to help them but unintentionally hurt the clients or, community by only asking them to apply for state disability insurance and or mistakenly thinking state disability insurance, it's like SSDI, or state disability insurance is for supplemental security income. They take this as a replacement. They are not. There are different programs, different eligibility criteria. I'm not saying everyone is eligible for all, but at least if people attempt to help community or family members, Google, research, or contact organizations, contact others. Welcome, of course, to contact my office as well. It's a free consultation anyways, 15 to 30 minutes. If people have, there is a misconception about these benefits. So going back on a different slide here, I'm going to pass through some slides for the sake of time. I'm just going to focus on the big picture, if it's okay. So we have the largest federal programs for disabled adults or Social Security disability, and another one is supplemental security income. These are the 2 programs tonight. So do you, how specific do you want me to be? I just want to focus in your audience and community to make it simple as possible for them.
Yes, this is the one also that confused me a lot in my personal life for my son, as you know, and it would be nice to know the difference of who is eligible. What instead of going and applying, it would be good to know the difference ahead of time. I usually suggest that people consult a lawyer before doing that. From my experience, if I would have to do it again, I would have done that. So if you could tell us who's eligible, who is not, I think that would be enough. Yeah.
Thank you, Senait, and thank you for sharing your personal story very briefly about your son. Kind of makes things more approachable, humanizes the concept that sometimes feels dehumanized, and of course is not the government's fault, but it's a program that of course has rules. So thank you for being very humble as always for the sake of community. So, and a great example, there is at least if they don't want to consult the lawyer, which is totally fine, they should at least call Social Security in advance. And I know Social Security is busy. They're helping millions of people on a daily basis. I get frustrated too if I cannot get a hold of them. But at the same time, they are there to help us. They are here to help community. My suggestion is, since there are two sets of programs, at least hopefully people appreciate that, make sure for what you are applying. One of the programs is, it's called Social Security Disability Insurance. It's only for the individuals that have, that work in this country specific months, specific years. For example, for some of the adults, you have to work only 5 years within 10 years to be eligible for Social Security Disability Insurance. Meaning, to simplify, when you pay taxes, first you have to work for Social Security Disability Insurance, or your parents or grandparents, to some extent, if you are tapping on their resources. Important is the claimant has to have enough work credits to be eligible to try to apply for Social Security Disability Insurance. Now, if you don't have a person who never worked, the parents, are not disabled, not retired, not deceased, that individual should not apply for Social Security Disability Insurance. Now, if they apply, not a big deal. Social Security is not going to penalize them, but they will deny. It's called technical denial. So if they're not sure, it's better to apply and consult with Social Security and apply versus not applying. However, the mistake that is done, if you will, is people, confusingly, the claimant or families think that Social Security and SSI are synonyms. They are the same, they are not. SSI stands for Supplemental Security Income. It's for individuals with very low income, frankly. For example, for Supplemental Security Income, one doesn't have to work at all. Of course, the legal status matters, which we'll cover later on. But for Supplemental Security Income, the individual have to be legal in this country. If it's single, they cannot have more than $2,000 assets. If it's a couple, they cannot have more than $3,000 assets. But they don't have to work at all. So in those cases, my suggestion is, if you are not sure, please at least ask Social Security, and please at least have that individual apply for both, versus just leaving one out, because then you can lose the benefits by relying that you apply for right benefits, but then you apply for wrong benefits. Then it takes months or maybe years, you lose that potentially back pay. And it's also stressful. You wait, benefits are happening or being approved, and in fact, nothing is happening. So does this make a sense to some extent? It's more.
Yes, it does make sense. So the first one, SSDI, is you have to have, or your parents have to have, a working experience here in this country. They've been paying taxes for more than 5 years, you said, or 10 years?
Sure, varies. Now, this again can deserves conversation for longer, another time, maybe just to focus on eligibility per se. But and also I want to be careful. I don't want to speak about many details because can be more confusing versus helpful. But
Right.
The big picture is, if people can only remember from this short conversation, is that to apply for Social Security Disability Insurance, that's why the title says insurance, because you have to be insured. By analogy, it's like you pay for car insurance. So
Right.
if I pay for car insurance and God forbid I have accident today, I can go and knock an insurance company door. I'm not insured, Hatixhe, you're not going to be insured.
Yeah.
So Social Security Disability Insurance, either the claimant, by analogy, right? But it just says to simplify the concept. They have to work particular years. But the good news is that the younger individuals start working and paying taxes, they don't have to maybe work 5 years. The rule is more lenient because they want to promote young people to work. So that's why I want to quote particular number here, because they should go to Social Security and ask them, for example, they don't have to go per se, but they can pick up the phone and say, hey, for example, my name is Hatixhe. I think I have a medical condition that is going to last for 12 months. Am I eligible to try for Social Security Disability Insurance? And do I have enough work credits? The Social Security worker have things in the system. At least that should be the first starting point.
Right.
Eligibility criteria.
That's wonderful. And then the second one is the SSI, that goes with income,
Exactly.
So maybe this is time to talk about the eligibility and limitation, maybe?
Sure, thank you. So for SSI, now if I can just go back, I make more sense, I'll go back to eligibility for both. So eligibility for Social Security Disability Insurance is just because someone is insured, meaning has enough work credit, doesn't mean the government is going to give a stamp and say, hey, you are approved for Social Security Disability Insurance. There is another step, quote unquote. It's they have to also satisfy the medical component. They have to have medical condition for at least 12 months or expected to last at least 12 months. So, and that's why, I want to make sure that I have sometimes clients, so of course, breaks my heart. There is a myth. They think, hey, I worked enough for the government, I pay taxes. That's my benefits. I said, no, 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 no. It's not just working enough. This is not early retirement. Early retirement is something else. You are 62 or full retirement 66 or 67. Varies on the date of a birthday. That's why this is called disability insurance benefits. You have to prove insurance, meaning you are insured. Next part is you have to prove you have medical disability. So that's big picture for Social Security disability insurance. One last point on that answer, which I see often, maybe not often, but almost often, it's individuals wait forever, wait longer to apply for Social Security disability insurance. They should not, as long as they believe they have legit claim, meaning they cannot work full time, is because there is something called date of last insured. They call this D as David, L as Larry, I like insurance, DLI. So I have clients who wait 6-7 years. First, they exhaust state disability insurance. They apply for unemployment. They do workers' comp, all of this stuff. They think you have to exhaust all of the benefits, then to apply for SSDI. Or some doctors and other providers unintentionally tell the client, no, wait, finish this and do that. That's wrong. Because the more you wait, that the date becomes past. So if the date of last insured is remote, for example, to simplify remote, let me use me as a hypothetical, so I don't break, God forbid, confidentiality of my client, which I would never break, but just to make sure here that I'm not speaking anything remotely on that end. Let me use me as an example. If I became disabled 3-4 years ago and I cannot work, now the more I wait to apply for Social Security disability benefits, that date of last insured is going to be remote. Let's say the date of last insured is going to be 2020. And then I apply for benefits 2026. I have to go back and prove from 2020 that I was disabled versus from 2026. So bottom line is, that is also a difficult concept to simplify in the time frame that we have right now, because it's very technical. Apply, you don't wait. If you believe you have legit claim, don't wait for that date to be remote. Apply as soon as you can, assuming you have, of course, a legit claim and you have treatment and all of that. That's a big picture for disability insurance benefits or security. Do you have any question before I go to SSI?
I actually do. There was an example that somebody asked me once, and I wasn't sure. I think I sent him to you or something. But so can someone who's retired and collecting, Social Security through retirement, has been working and then got injured and cannot work and has a workers' comp case, and they collect money also from the company, every month until their case is, they are under medical treatment. So would they be eligible for also SSDI?
Great question. Thank you for asking. This is another myth or misconception I'm seeing often. So clients are advised, so the answer is yes, as long as, and let me say yes for what, actually, to be more clear, is if I understood your question, it's you ask whether the individual who is receiving workers' comp benefits should apply for Social Security disability insurance. Can they tap in both potential benefits? Is that your question? Is that a big picture?
Yes, I mean they're taking workers' comp, yeah. But yeah.
Definitely. In fact, I do have quite a bit of cases like that, and it's advisable, and here is why. It's because workers' comp benefits, people again believe that you have to wait till the case is settled from workers' comp, then they push the Social Security disability aside, they don't even apply, they think, no, let me finish workers' comp first. I was told by cousin or sister, they speak English better than I do, or the doctor. People who take the hat that they should not, frankly, or educate themselves. So bottom line is, it is advisable to apply for Social Security disability benefits, Social Security disability insurance, as you receive workers' comp benefits, as long as you believe your condition lasts more than 12 months or lasted more than 12 months. And here is why. It's because when you apply for Social Security disability benefits, something is called filing protective date and something is called back pay benefits. So why are losing that potential back pay benefits by waiting 4 years, 5 years, 6 years till workers' comp, claim is exhausting? Now, to be of course, honest. I think in America we use this term, to be honest, we overuse it, but I think obviously we should be honest to the best of our knowledge. But from my experience, in my practice and in my work experiences, also people have to be aware that they are not going to tap in both resources 100%. What I mean by that is, yes, they should apply for disability insurance as workers' comp is spending, but at the same time, they should be aware that they should save the settlement papers, the papers of the money that they receive weekly, because if Social Security disability insurance benefits is awarded, meaning if they win their case, the payment center is going to ask for them for the information from workers' comp. So then when they do the calculation of the back pay and the current, meaning monthly pay, they potentially would use that as an offset, meaning they would pay them a difference. I don't know the formula. I don't work for payment center. I don't claim to know, and it's not my job per se to know, but at least I know that people should apply for both if they are eligible, and they should save the paperwork for workers' comp. In fact, they should supply Social Security with that paperwork from workers' comp as soon as they can when they apply. And here is why tonight, because I see many cases, even when the case is approved from Social Security disability insurance, they have to wait few months till they supply payment center, with a paperwork from workers' comp. Why not making it easier on government and on themselves? So some little tweaks can help everyone, frankly.
That's wonderful, because people are not sure, and then they just, like you said, they hear to people. And from my experience, I always, it doesn't matter how much I know, there's always something that I don't know. So it's good to consult with the experts trained in that area, or call the place directly to ask. And this was really, really useful. Thank you so much.
Of course. So do you want to go back to SSI benefits?
Yeah, so we can maybe see if there is the limitation and eligibility. That's what we were talking about.
Yep, thank you.
If you want to say more on that.
Thank you. So, and that's going to help me to highlight the difference between Social Security disability insurance and supplemental security income. Again, this is just a big picture. For SSI, no work credits are required, meaning you don't have to pay in a system, to get SSI benefits. There is, of course, a website, www.ssa.gov, SSI. So, excuse me. SSI program pays benefits to disabled adults and children who have limited income and resources. Now, limited income and resources by itself means, of course, a lot of limitations, but the big picture is the following. So if the SSI applicant is an individual, not married, they cannot have more than $2,000 income, resources, money in a bank account, all of that. This is, again, big picture. Before they apply for SSI benefits, meaning even if they are, God forbid, the very severely sick individuals. I have, unfortunately, people that come in office, they are not eligible for SSDI benefits because they didn't work enough in this country. They are short in few credits, but then they want to try to apply for SSI benefits, but they have income more than are allowed. For example, I have individuals who have $9,000 in a bank account. Then they want to apply for SSI benefits. And, I have to be honest, of course, with them and tell them, no, you have resources more than you are allowed. It's $2,000, the max, you won't be eligible. Now, I don't make that decision, of course. This is just my screening mechanism. They are always advised to call Social Security office. The phone number I can provide. Do you want me just to provide one number just in case, Senait, here as we speak?
Yes.
Okay.
I can actually, when I upload this video, I can also put it there for them.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want them to have access to, because I'm not promoting my office here, hopefully this can help, more than I hope. So, but going back to the limitation is, it's for one individual, $2,000, and that can include the second car, the house if they don't live in it, can include cash, of course, the different like stocks and bonds, and you name it. Now, there is also a misconception. People believe that just because they have land or something back home can be anywhere. If I use myself as an example, I'm from Kosovo, and if I have a land in Kosovo that has value more than $2,000 and I apply as an individual, of course I have to be honest with government, because as soon as you apply, you have to be honest if you want to take government's money to apply for it. But then, you know, you need to know ahead that if you have a resource or piece of land or anything anywhere in Earth, doesn't have to be in United States per se, you won't be eligible if the value is more than $2,000 for one individual claimant. Now for
I do have a question on this one with the limitation $2,000. Are we talking about California only, or is it different for other states?
it's across the board. It's the same.
Oh, it's the same. Okay, got it.
Thanks for asking. Yep. And the same meaning, SSI benefits, people only would be eligible to get these benefits if they reside in United States. This is not like Social Security Disability insurance. The beauty of Social Security Disability insurance tonight is people can it's like derivative benefits. Whenever they go, they can take these benefits with them. That's why, honestly, I advise people work even a little bit, but pay taxes. Don't work under the table, for God's sake. First of all, it's illegal. Secondly, help the country, help yourself. So Social Security Disability insurance, it's frankly more flexible benefits. You get these benefits wherever you are, in Kosovo, Somalia, Iran, Iraq, in Saudi, wherever you are, in Australia. So you can get Social Security Disability there, but SSI benefits, you have to reside here in America in order for you to receive the supplemental security income benefits. And again, I'm sorry?
I love that. And I know that I learned that from you when you told me about, you know, the difference. Now, my mom, when she came, she worked for 10 years and, you know, we made sure that, you know, she paid taxes so that if she goes anywhere, when the Social Security, you know, can go with her. So that is amazing. You mentioned that.
Yeah, thank you for simplifying that. Actually, you said it better than I did. And why I'm excited about what you and I do here today in our both Saturday is because I hope our refugee and immigrant communities tonight appreciate the fact that the more you get educated about these benefits, life goes here so quick. I have been here for 23 years. So, you know, I want them to know in the beginning that if you have some health problems that you cannot work, try to work few hours to pay taxes and get Social Security Disability benefits. Don't come 10 years later, 20 years later and say, how come my cousin is getting disability benefits in Kosovo? Because he worked, he paid taxes. So it's good to be educated as soon as people come here, so then they take advantage of these programs, but also they pay taxes and they feel better about themselves, right? When you work and you earn a little bit, if they can, certainly. Exactly. Now, do you mind if I go back to the couples limitation? Is that okay?
Go ahead. I just wanted to mention that.
That was actually very helpful. So brings the reason why both are here, you and I, to hopefully simplify some concepts. Now, as couples, for example, the rules are slightly not different, but the limitation criteria, they are allowed to have $3,000 in combination. So meaning, let's say, if I use myself and my husband, if I apply for disability benefits and my husband is a high earner, of course, they don't consider just my husband. They would consider my children if they are lower than 18 years old, if I have disabled child in the family and all of that. That's why for supplemental security income, I always advise, you know, individuals, if it's always good to, of course, call Social Security office and apply. And then if you get denied, no one is going to penalize you. Of course, assuming you are not a high earner, your spouse is not a high earner, you guys don't have combination assets more than $3,000. And that again can be second car, cash, you know, stocks, bonds, or piece of land, piece of jewelry that is more than $3,000 or in combination. So all of these are very important to highlight. And again, I hear so many in community saying, how come, you know, they're not sicker more than I am, but then they are getting benefits, they're not richer than I am. How do you know? How do you know their assets, you know? So, and then lastly, what I have seen is sometimes community, because of the cultures, they are shy. And then they say, for example, I live with a person, he's my partner. But in fact, they are not a life partner. They don't consider themselves as husband and wife. Those applications can be heard because then in eye of Social Security office, for the purposes of SSI, they can be deemed as couple. And then in fact, whatever that couple is earning, even if they are not legally married, they can be considered as couple in SSI, so in eye of Social Security office as far as screening mechanism. Then it's going to hurt their application, for God's sake. Then I always tell the clients, be humble, be honest when you go to Social Security, don't exaggerate, don't brag, don't lie. Here is one example. I had a gentleman from X community the father, he was receiving SSI benefits. He went to review with Social Security. He was bragging about his son. Some cultures have that feeling, my son is the best. I'm sure he has the best son. In fact, and he was saying, yeah, he helps me with rent, he helps me with food. And then he lost the benefits, almost got reduced. He came to my office to ask for,
no.
yeah, and I asked him, is this true? He said, no, actually, I just kind of feel bad. I want to, it's not to lie, but I bragged and I exaggerated. That's not the place to exaggerate. Be honest, it's black and white. So then, and leave the cultural stigma behind. I'm going to brag about my kids because that can hurt your application. So,
Exactly. Oh, poor guy.
yeah, it's a lot to consider. Does this make sense with respect to big picture of two programs?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Perfect. Thank you so much for that. And it was very simple to understand. And sometimes it happens that, you may qualify for one of these and then you still get a denial. In that case, what can people do? And I know I've seen you in action, like for your clients, there's a specific court, small court inside the Social Security office where their case can be heard. Can you say a little bit about that?
Sure. You're referring to Office of Hearing Operation, which is they have administrative law judges. They hear the cases from Social Security Administration. So before I go there, probably I'm just going to explain briefly, if you will, how people go up to that stage, just to bring more like a flow of the procedural posture. So if one applies for benefits, again, this is big picture, of course, takes much longer. Frankly, if we want to do justice, would take a week of everyday workshop to explain. But the big picture is if one apply for benefits and they get denied, varies what denial is denied. If we call them technical denial. If they get denied because they didn't work enough in the country, I'm simplifying, meaning they don't have enough work credits, they should not file an appeal. It's a Congress, it's a law. You cannot, you can file an appeal by constitution, but they will deny your case, because you got denied for something that cannot be fixed. Only the law changes in future. But if they get denied for medical reason, for example, if they get denied saying, you are not severe enough, you can do other jobs, your health would allow you, that is called medical denial in our term. Then if they believe they are still disabled, they should file a first appeal. It's called reconsideration. That appeal doesn't go to judges yet. They go to local level and they send this to DDS, to some state analysts that they work together. They review a case to see whether the client would be found disabled. If client get denied again, then you file for the request for hearing, and you file an appeal. Then the case goes to administrative law judge. So different rules apply at that stage, of course, but despite the people waiting for hearing a couple of months, I do appreciate the hearings a lot, because that's the first chance you meet with a real human being, either online, either in person, or by phone, versus the stages prior to then. You speak to Social Security, but you don't speak to disability analysts directly and arguing the evidence. So that's why these hearings to me are very important and very fair, frankly. Regardless of government is busy, they do a very decent job. They give people a chance, and lawyers and clients and whoever helps the clients, to plenty of time to be ready to collect the medical records, the evidence, and to have your client in front of you or over the phone or online, and to argue the case, to discuss the case. So, thank you for asking that tonight, because what I think people confuse Social Security SSI with short-term disability benefits is state disability insurance is with state. You don't have there to prove you are disabled more than 1 year. You don't have to have extensive medical records. You may get benefits up to 1 year from state perspective. Here, benefits are long-term. They are not permanent. Another myth is people think, oh, where are my permanent benefits? There is no such a permanent. It's long-term benefits. So to me, by definition, if you want to get something long-term by the government, you have the burden. Burden, of course, it's a different story to discuss another time, but client has a burden to see the doctors and build the evidence. And so when you go to this hearing, then you can be as prepared as possible. That's a big picture.
That is so awesome. And I know that a person can do that by themselves. They can go through the process, but they also can have a lawyer to defend for them if it's overwhelming for them or if they don't have the time. I think I've done both. I like it when somebody who knows help me do that. So thank you so much for explaining all that. So I just wanted to ask, I know this is a very vast topic to talk about. Yes, that's what I wanted to ask about the overlap with the citizenship status. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So do you want to give examples tonight for community? Maybe if you don't mind the question. I know you and I, what can help community, just so I make sure.
There was someone who actually called a few months ago, wanted to apply for his mom, citizenship, and she has disability, a learning problem. And he wanted to know how he can apply for her because she can't study and pass the exam. So if you can say a little bit more about that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's actually a very good question. So in part of my practice, I do handle some of these cases. And why I'm speaking about that is, in fact, I developed this passion in 1999. Oh, yeah, May 1999, when I came to this country, God, so many years ago, when I worked in mental health. Because especially now, this rule applies to refugees and immigrants who cannot pass the citizenship test, as you mentioned. So the importance of it to highlight here is that some individuals who believe they cannot even study in their own language, some questions, or in English. And to simplify, they can apply for something called medical waiver. There is Form N648. I'm not going to immigration portion to simplify that per se. I'm going to stick just with overlap. So it's always advisable if someone has a mom or brother or community, they are receiving SSI benefits. They can lose benefits, for example, if they, for example, let me just read a brief rule here. It says to be eligible for SSI, you need to be a refugee, either within 7 years of entrance or a US citizen, except qualified aliens who are blind or disabled and were lawfully residing in US since August 22, 1996. To break this down, meaning you have someone in your family, you believe they satisfy the residency requirement to apply for citizenship, but they cannot pass civic tests because of some cognitive problems or other health problems. Please, establish the records, take them to the doctor's appointment, and help them apply for that form, and for the waiver. And here is why I feel frustrated with some individuals is that they claim to help community. I'm not bad-mouthing anyone, but it just breaks my heart that, it's almost like take advantage of these communities. I have people who come in office, for example, say, I heard, if I pay some doctor $7,000 or $5,000 and they're going to write my mom is disabled, do you think that would be enough? In my opinion is, first I tell them, I don't think that's the right approach because the burden for these rules is at least you have to prove that the person has the health problems, at least build the evidence within 6 months. However, consult with a treating doctor. Don't try just to shop for these attorneys because to me, I'm not an immigration officer, but let me be honest. If I'm an immigration officer, I would look one piece of paper from independent doctor is not going to satisfy me, to say this person has this disability. It's always good from treating doctor or, testing, on other stuff instead of just, shopping for $5,000 for a doctor. So the best approach is you have these individuals in your family or community. If they have medical insurance, which I think our state is not perfect, but we do have medical for the most part. We do have great nonprofit organizations who does immigration. At least consult with them. Take your parents or community member or someone to see the doctor and establish they have medical problems, disability. And if that is satisfactory, then officer would forgive them, would waive them from learning civic, questions, from speaking English. That would allow them then to become American citizen potentially. Then they can secure these benefits because they can lose these benefits if they are not American citizen. Some of them cannot even apply, and some of them cannot even get the Social Security disability benefits back home that I mentioned if they're not American citizen. So it is important for individuals when you are in this country to try to exercise that right to become American citizen. And if you cannot study or your family cannot study the civic questions, consult with your treating doctors. Don't, just follow the scammers out there to shop for the best doctor for one piece of paper. Follow the rules, follow the
I love
guidelines.
that. I love that because in this country, one of the things I also notice, and which is unfortunate, is people listen to people. They ask questions around, but they asked the wrong people, and they can easily fall into a prey of either fraud or some people just honestly they think they know and give advice. And I've seen a lot of people in court, being brought there because they thought, oh, I thought somebody said I could do this, So it's always good to follow the rules because it can have a lot of big consequences for immigrants, and that saddens me. So that's a very good advice. Follow the rules and then ask the experts, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And so the last point I think on this is, and don't wait for last minute, please.
Yeah.
I have people, for example, have been in this country from 7 years ago, 2 months before the benefits expiring. Oh my God, I think I was told by such and such cousin who speaks English better than I do. Good job, cousin who speaks English better, but please don't recklessly neglect the importance, at least consult sooner. Doesn't have to be with Hatixhe. There are so many great people out there, consult sooner with great nonprofits, other areas of law with people who are trusted, and then do it sooner. For example, if you have mental health claimant, he cannot go for 1 month to prove he has mental health cognitive problems. Go and see mental providers, get engaged in treatment. So
exactly.
So it's important. Procrastination, it's not our best friend in this country.
No, we're all guilty of it, but it's not our friend. Yes.
Learning every day.
I wanted to ask you one more question, I guess, because you've been giving a lot of advice. Usually I ask, what advice do you have? But you have been giving really, really amazing advice. So I know that if people would like specific, they have a specific case and they want to consult, I know that you do a 30 minutes free a session they can schedule with you, and then you don't have to charge them, right?
Certainly. So if it's about Social Security, disability insurance, and SSI, they want to be screened potentially, or have question about overlap with these concepts that I mentioned, they can contact my office. I think I have information here in the bottom, but for the sake of time, you have my information.
Yes.
So they can contact the office, but certainly either by email, Skype, not Skype, Zoom, and now due to the COVID, we do so much remote work, they can do that. However, there are also so many great people out there. It's not only me, at least I can speak for my work. I do consult people from scratch, from application to first denial, second, up to the administrative law judges. If I think I cannot help, of course, I refer them to, I have a resource list, I refer them to other organizations or other attorneys, because it's not about me, it's about community, serving community. But also there's a great Social Security disability, www.ssa.gov, and please provide the numbers as you mentioned. It's a great entity. I know they are busy. I know sometimes I call 5 times a day. They may not answer the call, but there are so many great people that have been very patient with me and our clients to ask questions, because I understand the hesitancy. People hesitate to call attorneys. That's perfectly fine. Although attorneys are human, especially who has passion, they want to help community. That's their job to find solutions. But it's not only Hatixhe. There are so many. They can Google other attorneys, but definitely they can contact Social Security Administration. And of course, they are welcome to contact my office.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time from your very, very busy time. And I hope to talk to you soon.